चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करो पहले। हाँ जल्दी करो, मुझे पता है कि आप लोग नहीं करते हो, वीडियो देखते हो लेकिन सब्सक्राइब नहीं करते। ये लाल कलर का बटन नहीं से दबाओ, जल्दी दबाओ, जल्दी दबाओ, फिर मैं शुरू करूँ। दबा दो जल्दी, दबा दिया, घंटी में दबा।
When you're first presented with your assignment task, it can seem overwhelming, like a mountain to climb with your completed work on one side and you on the other, with a lot of hard work in between. The purpose of this video is to give you 3 simple techniques to get started and create an outline on which to build a really strong assignment. The first thing to do is to break it down. Daunting tasks are procrastination's best friend, but if you break it into smaller, more manageable parts, getting started is much easier. If we have an essay of, say, 2,000 words, and we allow 10% each for the introduction and conclusion, we're left with around 1,500 words for the main body. Now, it's far better we argue a few points well than simply list everything we know, in order that we can get marks for depth of analysis. So a decent paragraph should be between 200 and 300 words. So because of that, this means I can only really make 6 points, which isn't so bad now. What I now need to do is think about which are the strongest 6 points I want to make and what order I will make them. The second thing to do is to scope your task and be prepared. Consider what you already know. Has this topic been introduced in lectures or seminars, or have you come across it in your wider reading? Do you have a starting point at this stage? Then you need to consider what's expected of you by reading the assignment brief carefully and looking at the marking criteria to see what you'd need to do to get the highest grades. You might want to think back to previous writing assignments and where you went right and wrong to see how you can move forward. Then what you need to do is to think about what's your initial response, what's your argument. Then what evidence do you have to support that argument, and what else might you need to find out, and how might you search for that? Once you've thought it through, then you need to start to write some key deadlines in your diary to stay motivated. So the date you're going to write the first paragraph, or the date that you're going to complete your first draft. Once you've started doing that, there's no better thing than just to get some words down on paper. There's 3 really useful techniques to do that. The first is my favourite, it's free writing. This is where you write without stopping for, say, a minute on anything that comes to mind when thinking about your topic. And it's actually quite surprising how much you write, and it can even just give you a word or a phrase to get started. Mind maps are also really good for planning which bits go where and allowing you to make connections between ideas. They're also great for people that like using colour and visuals to represent ideas. A linear plan is also absolutely fine, and that's where you simply list what you might do in each paragraph, perhaps with some suggested references or words to remind you. With all of these things, these are just beginnings and you start to build in them. So an outline at the first stage might be very small, and then it starts to get bigger and bigger. And when you're writing your assignment, all you're actually doing is filling things in rather than thinking of the overall structure. So in summary, once you've started to create an outline, the task is no longer so daunting. The first thing to do is to break that task into manageable components. Secondly, you need to understand what is expected.
चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करो पहले। हाँ जल्दी करो, मुझे पता है कि आप लोग नहीं करते हो, वीडियो देखते हो लेकिन सब्सक्राइब नहीं करते। ये लाल कलर का बटन नहीं से दबाओ, जल्दी दबाओ, जल्दी दबाओ, फिर मैं शुरू करूँ। दबा दो जल्दी।